given the
This conference will now be recorded.
Good afternoon. The time being 4:45 p.m., I'd like to call the September 24th, 2020 meeting of the Tilton Select Board to order. Before we start, if you're participating by phone or the GoToMeeting platform, please mute your microphone during the meeting. If you want to speak, let me go back. During the meeting, unless you want to speak. Otherwise, background noise will interfere with the meeting. The Select Board is meeting at Town Hall and providing access via GoToMeeting and conference call to enable the public to observe and listen contemporaneously to the meeting. Additionally, there is an opportunity for the public to attend the meeting in person. However, in order to maintain social distancing, only 8 spaces are available, and attendance is on a first-come, first-served basis. Once the maximum limit has been reached, anyone wishing to participate in the meeting must do so remotely. If anyone has a problem with remote access to the meeting, please email web@tiltonnh.org, which will be monitored during the meeting. Would you all rise and please join me in the Pledge of Allegiance? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation,
under God.
Indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you very much. We have an odd situation here. For those of you who are going to see this later, is that it's only 2 selectmen bodies in the hall. Selectman Constantino is joining us on the GoToMeeting platform. We have all through the spring and summer.
Hello, everyone.
Selectman Pyra will be here at approximately 5, and Selectman Scanlon is on his way. Okay, the first thing is there any corrections to be made to the September 17th Selectmen minutes?
I found there to be none.
Okay, hearing no objection, I make a motion to accept the minutes of September 17th as presented. Is there a second?
Hog second.
We have a motion and a second. Is there any further discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, the motion is unanimous. At this time, I would like to make a motion to accept a granite bench valued at $500 to the new police station by Rob and Lisa Ozier. And thank you ever so much. Is there a second?
Second.
We have a motion and a second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Thank you very much.
Indeed. Indeed. Next thing on the list are selectmen's reports. Pat Constantino, you're up first.
I just have one in the Tilton Prep School is coming to the senior center to help us organize and clean up the outbuilding where we're going to have the prison come up and do some shelving inside the middle room and make it a little bit easier for storage. They're coming up on Saturday, this coming Saturday from 12 to 3. If any selectmen would like to join us, we could certainly use the help. We're going to move that big stack of lumber from one room to another so that we could use the help. That's it for me.
Okay, thank you, Pat. Peter Falk.
I'll pass.
Okay. Joe Jessamine, we'd just like to say that if you haven't done so, go out and drive around. Drive down over by the river, go to a park, go up Route 93. The trees are starting to look gorgeous, and that's my whole spiel for the day. Eric Pyra. Eric's not here right now, but if it turns out he has something important to bring, he'll be afforded to do it later, and the same for John. The time being, way early, I'd like to call up the finance director, Tim Pearson.
Okay, well, this may be a little bit of a theme this evening, because I doubt what I have is going to occupy 15 more minutes, but we'll for a question. So I just wanted to bring the 434, the MS 434, which is our estimated revenues, or something that that once once completed, it's something that I would sign in and send in. It's for the preparer to do. And it's simply an estimate of our revenues. It can be amended prior to tax rate setting time. So, it's nice to get done. In the past, I haven't liked to do them until October when we have a little more clarity. And even the state doesn't have some of the numbers that they usually provide us at this point in time. So there's still some items that could change, I suppose, but by and large, it's pretty close. So the original revenue budget that the budget committee approved that we had put together was $7,058,218. The estimated revenues on this 434 come out to be $7,073,434. So we're better by about 15,000 and change. There could be improvements there as well. There are some items that we don't have in hand yet that are larger ticket items, namely the building permits for the Honda dealership. So we have estimated what those are. We expect to have those in this year. So that's the type of thing that there are some of those types of items in here. Not many, and that's probably the largest that would impact things. And I think I said last week that with that dealership going in and with those revenues that we will meet our revenue budget for building permits and code enforcement. So we should, I should say. So in any event, so we're on plan for revenue. And then the two items that we received this year that are extraordinary due to the COVID issue are the municipal relief from the governor's emergency group, and that's at $86,803. We expect to receive that at some point soon, I would imagine. This has been coming for some time. We submitted on time for the remainder of what was due to the town. And then also the CARES stipends for the police
Time
department.
out, Joe. You've lost Pat.
My glass. I lost video and
Okay, but we did gain John, so we still have the quorum. She didn't see John arrive, so we can. If it was just Pat, we were down. We have a turret one now.
Right. So,
Sorry about
and the minute I get back there, I'll see if I can help her. But in any case, so we're basically, the bottom line is that we're on plan for revenues. And so far, we're doing fine with our expenses, as I reviewed last week. These other monies, this 127,000, will actually go to our unassigned fund balance. Particularly once we receive the 86,000, the balance of the 86,000. Neither Jeannie nor I have any reason to believe that we won't receive that, but I'm sort of the you don't have it until you have it.
Okay, back on.
Okay, terrific. Turn off. Okay, thanks. No.
Do you have another call with her?
I don't know. I don't think so.
Oh. So somehow there's an echo. In any event, our unassigned fund, 12/31/19, 16,000. We'd be looking at about 140-something thousand available at the time. It's light compared to communities around us, but given taxes were last year, the rent being returned to school district, we don't for a tax rate amount that, what that amount is. But if we need to use some money, just think about it.
Is there any questions?
Okay, then I will go ahead and that tomorrow morning. And one nice thing about 34 earlier establishes our key. So it really doesn't do much down because we've got all the other entities, the village district, Lockmere, our district. They all have to their issue also, but still won't be the tax rate. Okay, thank you.
Okay. Next up is Chief Corey. Okay, the floor is yours.
Thank you, Jim. Make sure you have it.
What is he passing out?
Filling the report. Your email.
The second one is some.
On paper tonight?
This one.
John, you have you'll get as we went through the.
Hopefully we're out of the town.
Yeah.
Okay.
Please, your show. Hey. Sorry, Chief.
This in my monthly report, we call activity was there's a couple differences. For a little bit, you more notice the other day we had traffic. Vice President.
I can't hear a thing he's saying.
I'll try to talk a little bit louder. Through the week, we had Vice President come to several locations. So kind of everyone pretty much, but we made it work and about in the afternoon and then somewhere 6 o'clock. without incident. And, I got a call from state. We're very appreciative that we helped them. The other day, in the last week, detectives, last Thursday, we worked really close with them for the last 6 months, which culminated with starting last day of several suspect African and knowledge of the state. They ended up taking some custody in those cases, larger cases, which is why I put out on it, ongoing, several follow-up meetings in Boston, case that involved kilos. So just, I want to give to the detectives and everyone that worked on it last week, because they really did a phenomenal job. We had nothing but great comment. And at the end of the day, it's what keeps our community safe. We don't want to have this is high level drugs, and the law leads to federal cases and something. So I just wanted to give them. And then on to communications. Before we get into that, I know that you see on it'll say we have one get emails. If we have any, and I log into versus website to check that daily, which we do for the last couple of weeks. Cases, so which is a good thing.
The official numbers of health services are 0.
No,
WR.
they're saying 1 to 4. Just know that we're at 0 in a couple of weeks. We had one case about 3 weeks ago. He's all done well. He's okay. The brick and tile freezer, because I want to say, so brick and tile fundraiser, we're at 84, there's 11,000 so far. And it's going well. I'm going to put that order in. Still a couple more days. I'm told we're going to get several over the next day or so. We could get close to 100 stuff. And all the room for 2. And coming, but I don't have that. And then the last is this I put some of the Rotary planning's underway. Partner with us on in Halloween, October 31st. We agreed to do everything. Yeah, as far as that goes. So, the parents and we're very excited. And so I started last week. The antenna up and down Dale that's somewhere between 8 and 9 years old. The lifespan of those companies 10 years old. They're 5 months. They're the worst of them. Covered with ice. They really shelf life is coming up more than 10 years where they are on the town. Anyway, that needs to be replaced. I got some quote last night, and I passed those out. The 2 vendors that we work with, Holby and all. Holby has all of our mobile maintenance. They will have rates and portables. They're the ones that upfit with those and they're very familiar. People that installed the antenna years ago. We recently got money, give us a temporary. And then Allcom, and they're this partner with us on the project, and everything else. So the radios are the officers, they go down, and also see to the street. Right now, some of the, non-local, going around, we really can't communicate well. So, we can do a couple of things and get these, running minimally. He'll on board and get, that Peter added as a, frequency or code. And actually last year, this statewide audit reprogram, so money coming to the portables. It's a good thing, it's a time, because they add channel, they have to be reprogrammed. So that's a for us. Very, and I confirmed that with, just a couple weeks ago. So we have to do two, we have to get our portables and mobiles reprogrammed, which is kind of a temporary solution. But to get us fully going, the coverage that they need everywhere in town, on that tower. And so what I was hoping to do, we talked about a little bit last week, kind of our upgrade project. And I dropped off all in last week. I think I all on the two quotes that you have before you came in at about $4,800, 250. So it's about 500. That includes, they have to actually carry all the equipment. They can't drive it up there to work on mountains. They actually hike it up. Then they have to go up on the tower, take it down and install. It's pretty involved with this. And then all 7,700, basically the same project. So was as a and the only to upgrade the project, and we get we might move forward in order to get it about 2 weeks, and they would schedule once the tower the antennas ordered, they would schedule it all as soon as possible. We know that we're kind of in a tough spot right now, and they said that they'll try to find it as soon as possible. So the only came in $1 cheaper. I guess that would be my suggestion that we.
Okay. Could you speak to the advances in technology?
Well, I haven't looked at the quotes this afternoon. Dale's making copy. But yes, the only is make more sense than we're spending $250,000 everything all purposes of some portion of it. This is not integrated enough. Heard about that. And if it's not you should do it. You can do it here. I really wouldn't have it. Any opinion other than my dealings with I would have thought ideally we would do it, that we can hold accountable.
Any other slide?
Well, I see OME has coax 3.8. When I go to Allcom, it's from Selfex flex cable at 320. But so they have a $400 charge 19. So I'm first question, are we apples to apples? It looks like there's different cables also. How does that affect your bill? The Selflex cable that much better that we should go with it or not? You know, I don't know enough about, the other thing is, this is for which Hill, Belknap, or
It's our primary motivation.
no, it's just we were naming multiple.
And Mr. Chair, I do agree with Tim's points. He does make some the same. I definitely understand where you're coming from. Go on.
Sure, Pat. Yeah.
I cannot hear anything. It's a very, very bad echo. I didn't hear a word the chief is saying, and it sounds to me like you're talking about a cable or something.
That's exactly what we're talking about. The coax cable was the.
The microphones are repeating themselves, and I can't hear what you're saying.
I don't know where the.
I'm gonna try recycling.
Don't you love technology?
I heard that loud and clear.
Yes, you did.
The only other thing I'm thinking, we changed this other.
Every time Tim just spoke, I heard other thing, change.
I can't get.
Well, let's use the audio right back there. Maybe we should get that. Let me switch it over.
Sorry for the audio.
It's odd because at other meetings, we haven't experienced that.
This is the first time we've done this.
I think it's Joe's.
It could be.
It's not the. Where's that coming from?
It's a feedback.
Is that back on? All right, I'll fix that wagon. All right, it should be off now. Hang on. Microphone.
I can hear you loud and clear now.
You can hear them.
Yeah, but it repeats itself.
Yep. So we do need that audio. Pat?
Yeah, I just heard Pat.
I think it's worse now.
Okay.
Okay, well, I see many. I see the. Nothing I can hear. We need it.
What's interesting is it's right on my main, is 17.
Mr. Pearson, could you talk with somebody?
We could definitely tell all comes tomorrow. They could improve upon that. I'm also curious about
Like you said.
Well, I'm curious about questions about the cable. That is a significant difference.
Typically, these cable lost. It's also much larger. semiconductor and the output rate, a lot more. It's less loss. Yeah, so that is one of that I know. Typically, you know, I guess, CB radios. We have a home one, antenna go over, so you have less loss.
The other aspect of Belknap Mountain is not easy to get to. So, you know, I would think you want to have something pretty stable up there. We have to send someone. It would cost a lot of money.
Happen to the. Oh, yeah, will we? Yeah, question.
It's still echoing. I can't hear you. I can hear Joe more clearer than anybody, but there's a long string of echoing after you say something.
We tried to get it from our end, it's better to attend hall. I hear that it's heavy bitty bad at your house.
I can't make out what you said. Go ahead.
Well,
I'll meet the chief in the morning.
my apologies.
Joe, go ahead with the meeting. I'll meet with the chief in the morning.
Okay.
We're gonna contact all the com on there. Also contact. Yeah, 7/8's a better product. Look next week and see how it tightens up. It's only gonna be.
All that much.
But I don't want to do three. Half the length. Half the width.
I know they quoted replaced and people in which the installers is to pick which people they wanted. You didn't direct them or people. I know that always replacing one and everything formed up there and worked well. Just recently,
But if it's only 400 or less difference from 38 to 7/8, that's all.
And I guess Tim and I could be tomorrow morning and if he's able to get the rest of us, and while they're already with us, that might be the way to go.
You know, and that also pricing like connectors on Skype. Have a pocket connector.
So in touch with. Yeah, no doubt this.
Well, I haven't spoken to one of them about it, but I can call with the chief.
Chief, maybe you can.
I will.
Watch it very good. Okay.
I think that's it. I covered it.
Is there any questions? Chief? Okay. Very good. Thank you very much. Okay. And on our list, Lee Moynihan, Brandon.
so that should be coming any day. The construction company is being reconstructed. They really didn't bring any complaints about the job. They're very responsive. We did demo this week, as you all probably know, they did the burn. That was successful. They took the 3 buildings down. 2 more to go this week. They completed their transfer of ownership, and the lot merger has been signed and is being sent to the registry. We will,
Just for my own information, which 6 lots are we talking?
there were a total of 5. Was 80 East Main Street was one of the burns, and 4 and 6 Morrison were the burn. And then there are 10 Morrison, I believe it is, and I think it's 180 East Main Street. And those 2 are going to be demoed by the construction company. They didn't get burned because I believe there's some wires and it was too close to the road. But I think from what I did hear on the burn, and I'm sure that here it was very successful. I guess they had 6 or 8 towns involved, and they did quite a bit of training with it. So I guess
It's been fun to watch.
yeah, I bet. So that's going on. They are going to be, there's one, we're going to do a pre-con meeting before we start. We're pretty much almost ready to issue the building permit. I'm waiting for the surety bond, which they are working on. And as soon as they get it, I will bring it before the selectmen, because I believe we need to approve the surety before it comes forward. But they have the amount they need. And as soon as we get that, we'll have a meeting and move forward with the building permits. They also asked if they could do, just so that you're aware, they did check, they're very thorough, they're very considerate of the town so far, the construction company. They are going to be crushing the foundations over there. So they asked if we had a problem with that. Our ordinance doesn't really specify that they can't do that. I think they just want to reuse that cement, but it is a little loud when they bring those cement crushers. It'll be about a week. So I am going to ask them to restrict the work to 10 a.m. to probably 4 p.m. They are allowed to work from 6 a.m., but I don't think they should be using the crusher at 6 a.m. unless the board has an issue with that. I don't know.
Can we send notices? Would it be proper to send notices out to the people on Morrison
I
Avenue?
don't know. I mean, it's not like blasting. There's not going to be large horns. It's just as louder probably than normal construction because the crushers make quite a bit of noise, I believe. So,
Just go down 140.
are they using crushers there?
Well, if you were talking a portable crusher, you've got big noise, and the people on Morrison will hear it. The other question will be dust, because unless you go with bag houses, dry collection, generally they don't put enough water on it to keep the dust down. The other thing would be is the crusher permitted, because it's 150 tons per hour, I think they need to be permitted through Air Resources Division.
Okay. I don't think it's so much, but I will check those. Thank you for that information. I'll make sure they're aware of that. And it's going to be pretty limited. Like I said, they're just doing the foundations. They want to reuse that on site. Other applications that we have recently, we did also approve the board approved Rouse project, which is down on Laconia Road. That's reusing that Meltaway property. So that was approved on Tuesday. And Sea Light is expanding their parking lot, so they were also approved for that. Interesting. Zoning board, they also heard some applications from Rowell. Rowell had a few zoning board applications that were approved, and the only pending application we have right now is the zoning board application with 100 Autumn Drive, and it's an appeal of administrative decision because we did not want them to expand that business. So that'll be heard in October. The building permits, as you see, it's a little deceiving, the dollars on there. I did think it was odd that we had 150 permits and only 26,000, and last year we had 137 and $40,000 in permits. So I actually looked back, and there was a large permit issued to a storage facility company that never went in. That was like $14,000 for the building permit, and they never actually put the storage in. So you made money on that last year, so that does distort your numbers a little bit. You know where that is, it's somewhere down in West Main, way down there, they put behind.
Go behind, Dollar General, I think.
Yeah, exactly. And they just never did it. So, and now that permit's expired, so I can't believe they did that, but that was the history on that. Just informational code enforcement issues. I've only been tracking since April, but we had 9 letters sent and 7 issues are resolved. There's just 2 outstanding issues we're working on. I want to just review some of the ideas for zoning amendments that I plan to bring forward. Accessory dwellings, accessory building setbacks, signs, chickens and roosters, solar, and some general provisions for limiting the number of residential buildings on a lot, and unregistered and uninspected vehicles.
Aren't we covered under the RSAs for junkyard?
We are, but we just say 1 unregistered, not uninspected. So you can register vehicles without inspecting them. So I wanted to take a look at that. Again, these are just ideas that I make notes as the year goes on where I've had like difficulty managing enforcement, and sometimes we don't have enough details. So those are just, I'm going to bring these to planning board for review. So other initiatives. So I did provide you with a new fee schedule, and it's not really a large change in the fees. It really is some clarification again. If you have your fee schedule, it should be in red, any of the changes. Some of it is really just clarification, and we're trying to be consistent. So the more detail we have on these permits, the more consistent with our administration of these fees. So some of the changes where we added fencing, which wasn't listed on there, we did charge it, but it wasn't listed. That's really the only difference in fencing. Solar panels, I think they were doing a few different things with charging for solar panels. So this is a proposal for $10 per panel on residential. This is, again, you have the authority to change any of these you like. Pools, we're doing, I think they were doing it by square feet. We're doing it now. What's the old one? I don't know if pools were called out separately. I think they were doing it as a square foot structure. That gets kind of tricky when you have ovals and rounds, so it's just easier above and in-ground pools just to have a flat fee. Another change in new construction renovation was to be more detailed on the commercial for renovations and non-structural alterations. We're putting it at non-structural alterations over 1,000 square feet and 1,000 square feet, and changing the renovations. That the top one, instead of saying new buildings and additions, it says renovations. You have new buildings twice on your list. And then the only other change on there, one is that we added solar for electrical, so it'll just be a flat $50 fee for solar for electrical, and manufactured homes as well, because that's just a hookup. Usually it's minor electrical and plumbing, so it's just $50 for manufactured homes. So those are the changes we made, and the only other issue on here is that I just wanted to ask the board if they were looking to address the changes to certificate of occupancy, because I know that came up at the last meeting, the way we charge 10 FedEx for COs. So if you want to talk about that, we can, but those are the changes that Al, myself, and Janice looked at for administrative fees.
Okay. Thank you very much. Other questions, John?
Yeah, these were changes that were made, like the non-structural operation maintenance and repairs.
Yeah, you know, I have the old one. I really kind of should have given you the old one, even though
Great. Well,
red has highlighted the changes, but if you have.
so they've already been changed.
Oh, no. We don't have the authority. We use the authority. I can't do any changing in the fees.
Yeah, yeah, any questions, like,
Sure.
you know, I'm looking at under 1,000 feet square foot of flooring replacement. Like if somebody replaced the vinyl in a bathroom, they'd have to pay $50 fee.
Yep.
To replace, like, if you had a 4x5 bathroom,
Well, and then you're talking commercial or residential? This is commercial.
Yeah, well, if you're renting,
Residential is a different piece.
if you're renting out to multifamily, so I have a tenant and I put a new piece of vinyl down, it would cost me $35. I have to pay a $50 fee
Yeah.
and have an inspection.
Well, and if you go get a permit for, if you come and get a permit to put vinyl flooring down, yeah.
Do we issue any of those permits?
Yeah, I don't see too many vinyl flooring permits, but
Yeah,
I mean, that's,
this would require, right, or you need violation.
sure, yeah.
If they-
And these aren't really a, I mean, we had a fee before for this as well.
Yeah, we had a discussion I think, last week regarding changes at Tanger. Is it possible to see some of the recent changes and what the total cost was for the new tenant to move in to get their CO? Because if I'm going from like clothing to a kitchen, I don't see that's a big change. It's retail and all. So I'm not sure where we're at.
Yep, so I'm just to clarify how we see it in our department. So if you come in like, and I did send an email, but like, if a tenant like Kate Spade goes in, and they redo that whole interior, they get a building permit. If a barber shop goes in downtown and it was a store, then that's a full tenant fit up and they get a building permit. And with the building permit, you get a CO, which is included in your cost of your building permit. So that is if you're doing a true quote tenant fit up of changing your interior. If you were just changing business, so you have, well, I guess like Tanger or downtown, if you have we had a, downtown, there was a consignment shop, changed ownership. They're supposed to come in, every business is supposed to come in when it changes ownership or business changes and do a business registration form. That's per your ordinance, it's an ordinance that says they have to do that. And also within the business form and the ordinance, it says with that, you're required to get a certificate of occupancy. That's how it's written. So, which means there'll be an inspection by fire and inspection by our code. Now, you're not gonna be charged a building permit because you're not doing any building, you're just going in and doing either the same thing they were doing or just setting up your merchandise. So there's no building permit, but there is a CO required. And I believe at the bottom of your fee schedule, which again is your fee schedule, it says certificate of occupancy with a building permit, no charge. Without a building permit, and it says example, new business tenant, it's $50 plus 10 cents per square foot. So that's just the way the ordinance is written and how we enforce it. So if a small store goes in or a store goes in temporarily into Tanger, it's still a new business and it's still registering. I do think you might want to consider whether that's a hawker and peddler. If they're transient and they're just moving from town to town, selling their wares for here for 2 months and somewhere else for 2 months, then they may fall under your hawker and peddler ordinance, which I read, if they're not a permanent business.
Well, except for the hawker and peddler, I think is for the non-taxed facilities. It's the ones on wheels that come and go.
That's
where
not,
the
that's
ones
not
in-
how you, oh,
The
okay,
ones in Tanger, they're in a building that we are generating revenue through taxes. They're just filling it with tenants.
yeah, I wish, I thought I printed it. I did read your hawkers and peddlers ordinance.
You already taxed and paid it.
Right, no, that's.
Right, your hawkers and peddlers doesn't say that though. It doesn't say it has to be on wheels. It's pretty expensive.
No, but it's, you're bringing you're coming in town to sell your wares and you're not in a storefront, I believe, the intent of it. And it's not
But the
something
intent
you
was,
raise. It's not agricultural or a craft that you totally built, but it's something I may have bought to resell.
But wouldn't these be in a store?
If they're in a storefront, they're all set because we get our taxes through them. If they're on the street like the giant moms, what do we get for taxes from them? Nothing. That's why we have the hawkers and peddlers. We get
I
a
think
little
they're
bit.
excluded from the hawkers and peddlers per your ordinance because it's things that they are growing on their property or making at their home. Again, I wish I brought I did read it today.
So where's their greenhouse?
you buy it.
Oh, I mean, I don't know.
At least they can grow it.
I don't know if they grow it. A lot of those,
They buy it and resell it. So,
so that's different.
but the intent of the hawkers and peddlers is to discourage door-to-door solicitation. That was the intent of the hawkers and peddlers. So whether it has 4 walls around it or not, Leanne's absolutely right. It doesn't matter. The law states hawkers and peddlers. It's transient that you have to put your words to. In the law, it says transient, and that's exactly what they are. Tanger, they're here for a month, they're here for 2 months or 3 months, but it's not long-term. They're buying a lease from Tanger, they're the same way with hot dogs. They're asking space from this tenant, from the landowner, to sell their hot dogs. Whether they pay rent or they just allow them to buy, it doesn't matter. It's a fixed place that they have.
Except the hot dog stand paid rent to Tanger and Hawkers and Peddlers. They got
Well,
double.
I'm talking the one up on Church.
Oh,
And I'm not saying you have to treat them as hawkers and peddlers. I'm just saying that's an option if they're the short term and they don't want to, be a business registered with the town. And it's hard for us to know, like, what length of time you should register as a business or not. And again, kind of like, we're going to decide if it's 3 months or 6 months or, I mean, the only option I offer is that if you think that it's too expensive for tenant fit-ups for new tenants and new businesses that are not changing the interior, that maybe you do just $50 and not the 50 plus 10 cents a square foot so that everyone's paying the same thing. I mean, that's totally up to you. I mean, these fees don't, we'll just enforce whatever the board thinks is fair.
well, that's why I heard one side last week. I'm hearing something now. If I could see something in paper, I'm the numbers guy, then I can put more better together. So if you could show a couple of examples of recent ones at Tanger, what it cost them.
Well, we haven't administered yet. We put a hold on. These came up just last week. The ones that-
So
the new ones.
prior to this year, we weren't doing it?
We were charging building permit. Most of them, we haven't had a lot of new ones with building permits and
No, I'm talking the switch over in Tanger.
This is new since the new fees came out. We haven't had a lot over Tanga since the new fees came out, is what we understand.
I haven't,
But didn't they did have some before, but we never did charge it, what I'm getting.
That's right.
So I'm trying to figure out why the change now. And it's one thing if I'm doing major work, but if I'm pulling out my
Because now it's a business.
my furniture to display my stuff, and the new one just brings their furniture, and that's cut and dry to me. It's already been fully reviewed. It should just be a quick CO.
right, but again, it is a quick CO, but we have to do a CO and your fee schedule says 50 plus 10 cents a square foot, and that's what we've been charging.
That's the same like if it were a beauty salon downtown.
Yep, if it was an old beauty salon and a new beauty salon, if it was an old beauty salon, they did building permits to install a beauty salon, then they would get a building permit. I think the reason it came up now, Peter, really that it got highlighted was last week, it was, I don't know if they had any of these really short-term ones. The other ones did pay the fees. And to be honest, we don't catch everyone because everyone has come in for a business permit. But this, few of the Tanger businesses came in and they were short-term, so they're obviously concerned about fees. And one is taking a unit that's 5,000 square feet. Or so they said. It seems kind of big to me down there. I don't know what they're doing. They said they're only going to use 1,000 square feet. Well, I mean, a unit's a unit. I mean, what are you going to do? Like, I know they're probably going to use the storefront here. So then, again, the administration in my office is like, well, I mean, it's the square foot of your space is 5,000. Well, that gets expensive times 10 cents plus $50. And so that's how it got highlighted. And then we're like, well, wait a minute. It does seem excessive. That's what our fee schedule says. And then they started saying how they were there temporarily. We haven't had a lot of, I can't say that I remember having these short-term tenants before. And I think this is why this has come to light. So, and I'm certainly not encouraging short-term tenant fees because that gets difficult to administer. Then we got to watch how long they're there.
They have short-term tenants over there every year and have had for a lot of years.
Right. So, so we're holding off. I actually had Janice wait to call them back and to know I was meeting with you tonight before we decided if you want to change it to 50 or leave it as 50 plus 10 cents a square foot. But that's what I told Eric Crew when I talked to him, that was in it, and he understood that to be.
What do you recommend?
I mean, I guess it depends on how you feel these businesses, I mean, I guess you can revisit it later if you feel that businesses right now are hurting with COVID and that there's a lot of these little businesses that are just trying to come in and, $50 for Tanger. But just remember, it's not going to be just Tanger, it's going to be for everybody.
Right.
So, for example, last time when we approved the Mendon Hall to go into that as a construction office, they should come to us and get a business permit and then get a certificate of occupancy as well, and have to do it per square foot, even though he's going from a financial office to a construction office. That's the way it's done. I mean, that's the way you want it to, so. I think the only thing you can do to abate this or to address this is address the fees, or you're going into changing the ordinances.
And I would recommend on the temporary, basis, go with the 50, not the 10 plus the 10 cents, and then address it, after the COVID stuff is over, because small businesses are struggling everywhere.
Well, and you're seeing a lot of turnover right now too because of the COVID, so you're having people leave and people come, and maybe more so than you would normally.
Since there's no building permit required under that, it seems minimal. It should be a minimal fee.
You should cover the cost of the inspection, so you get fire and inspector going out there, so doing a minimal inspection, but at least cover your work.
Or if you do something like, okay, if they're gonna be temporary for 3 months, that's 25% a year. So it'd be 25% of what it would be if they're there for a full year.
Right, but then what happens when they're there a year? Or what happens if they're there 6 months? Right? It makes us be a little bit of a marshal to make sure that, I'm gonna come in and say I'm gonna be there 3 months, I'll pay less, and then, whether you're gonna kick me out or, and how do I know? I mean, I'm gonna have to go to foot files to know how long these people said they're gonna do. It's kind of like the temporary signs, right?
More effort on her, more time and effort on her.
And also, you don't want to discourage people from doing it, it's too costly, then people will just try and sneak in and not do it. Or maybe take away the 10 cents and make it $100 or $75. I'm not picking that number.
One of the things is, a lot of businesses have spent a lot of money, local businesses and small businesses, to operate a business all year. So like at Christmas time, open up a shop. And actually those temporary businesses actually take business away from the guys who have committed for a whole year. Like a landscaping shop, so I'm not thinking selling flowers or plants or something like that. And just come in when, everything is, the high season, and then, so, that's something that we need to consider too, because we don't want to have empty stores except for Christmas, Halloween shop hop in, spring flower, some plants and that. We'll encourage a lot of transient pop-up stores. So to consider.
So any other discussion? Any motions to be made?
I'll make a motion. We amend the certificate of occupancy bottom line without building permit from $50 plus 10 cents per square foot to a flat fee of $50.
Is there a second?
I can be on second.
We have a motion and a second.
That's not allowed. We can amend it to
We have a motion and a second. Is there any other discussion?
So the $50, do you get an inspection to get their occupancy permit?
That's correct.
And that just,
That's how the administration fee.
administrative suite, so it's pretty much just going there to make sure, what would they look for in that?
I believe I'll just make sure that, everything's secure, the electric, that there's water, that.
That they have to pay actually the operation.
Right, I mean, I'm sure the chamber outlets are much easier to inspect on those little units than maybe one of the older buildings downtown if somebody's going in and saying they're not changing anything. And sometimes he goes in and says, you are changing things, and then you need a building permit, so it will, then we ask them for building. But I think, like I said, some of these little town beds, I'm sure, are pretty straightforward. It's more just getting the paperwork, getting the registration, in the books and get it sealed.
Any other discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor of the motion, please signify by saying aye. Aye. Anybody opposed? Hearing none, the motion passes.
So we're gonna take action on the full change. You just did the $50, or did you approve it with a change of $50? So the whole thing is approved with an amended $50, the new schedule. This new schedule is not approved, is that right?
It's $50 fee instead of the $50 plus 10 cents a square foot.
All the motion covered was the bottom one right now. I didn't touch.
That's what I thought, okay. So I, yeah, so I just asked the board to address the rest of the changes.
Okay, is there anything else?
Do you want to address our changes tonight or wait a week so we can rehash?
Like this
Oh,
section
yeah,
out,
changes, I mean,
Oh, yeah.
it's in red stuff on
It's
the
in your packet.
sheets you gave.
That's fine, we can do it next week. I mean,
We'll
that
take
gives you
that
time.
back.
It looks like.
The one that you have right there, your fingers were on, the back page of that.
That's fine.
I'll go with the recommendation. I'm good with that.
There really are no increases on that, it's more just clarification, but that's fine if you want.
It's just language.
It's just being more specific.
Well, a month and a half ago, mentioned about the Burger King and the trash, and then it came back to us, and they said that they, wouldn't be able to enforce it to them, it was enforced to everybody. The Selectmen said, well, yeah, enforce it. I know they still haven't done anything, or have one trash can hidden in the corner. This is a repeat offender over the years, and keep having to tell them. What's the status of that?
I believe that it's in the litter ordinance, is that right? Or that in your other ordinances, it's not in,
I don't know, you looked at it.
yeah, I believe it falls under the litter ordinance, which is in your, I call them other ordinances, but you call them ordinances. Policies. And I believe in the ordinance, it says the enforcement of that policy is the police department.
No, health department and
Enforce of the litter? Yeah. I'll look at it again. I did go down there.
I know, I
Yeah.
said, could you look
Yeah,
at it?
and I did, and I,
Spend a month and a half.
and I did go down there and their trash barrels are out.
I just went there today,
Oh.
are not, and I've been there. Thank you by.
The thing down by exit 20, right? Is that what I'm talking about?
Yes. And they're supposed to have so many trash cans per parking spaces.
All right, I'll look at it again. I'll look at it again. I did go down there. I think it wasn't this week, but it was last week.
And White Rock, there hasn't been any activity over there, and their grass is like waist high, and they haven't been mowing it. It's part of their agreement.
Yep, and
They
then,
have temporary fencing, and they never did any planting.
yeah, last we checked, they weren't done putting their panels up, so I'll go back over and see if they're done. Once they're done the panels, they should have that done before
We
winter.
haven't actually opened the gate to that for 4 weeks now.
Are all the panels, did you notice all the panels were done?
Yeah.
Yeah, they're all done, okay.
Everything's all done, and they haven't done any maintenance.
I will, I'll go check it out.
So does the board want to vote on this tonight, or you want to wait? We'll be right back. With the field
So which one?
on the changes, on the language clarification that Leanne wants to
Oh, the
make.
red.
The red,
Well, one thing I brought up that was, if, let's say you have your tenant, you have a 4x4 floor in your bathroom. If you wanted the vinyl, replace the vinyl tiles or something for them, it would be a $50 bill fee for them.
There is now. There is now.
There's a key for it.
I'm sorry?
There is,
there's a fee for it now.
to replace a piece of vinyl in a
Well,
tenant's house, it would cost.
if I didn't get a permit to replace a piece of vinyl on my floor, but,
You don't need a permit to get it, to replace a piece of tile in your floor.
Yeah.
Multi-family you do.
So just a.
So far.
Right.
So reading this under multifamily, just for clarification for myself. So it says alterations, maintenance, and repairs. So if I own a two-family house and I rent out the other side, there's multifamily, correct?
No, two families, not multi-family.
Oh, it's not, okay. Okay, let's just, okay.
They have a three.
Okay, I have a three-family house, okay? And I go and I'm gonna replace the kitchen floor in the house, in one of the units, because someone's moving out, I'm gonna fix it up. So is it based on the square feet of the house, the entire house, that unit, or that?
The work you're doing.
So if my,
You're doing a bathroom.
I don't know how big my kitchen is, but let's just say my kitchen's 200 square feet of floor. That's what I'm paying my permit on. If my house is 3,000 square feet, I'm not paying it, based on 3,000 square feet, I'm paying it based on
Right, but it's not
200
even,
square feet. of
it's
kitchen
just
floor.
over or under, so you're not paying per square foot.
Okay.
If it's under, you only pay $50.
But if my kitchen is 999 square feet, and I'm gonna pay $50, but if my house is 3,000 square feet, I'm not paying it based on the square footage.
No, you're not.
Just have to get the process.
Okay, Joe, we were just talking about the language, and if anybody wanted to motion it, the changes.
That would be my question. Is there a motion to be made?
I'll make a motion that we accept the revised construction permit fee schedule with the alterations that we made today on the bottom line.
Is there a second?
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Is there any other discussion for this issue?
Yeah, on the solar panels, the $10 per panel.
Yeah, I actually asked to clarify that, because I think now Al charges by the square footage of the panel, which seems odd to me, so we talked about it, and we suggested, can't we just do $10 a panel? Again, these are your fees. If you want to not even charge anything and just charge the electrical, that's fine as well. That's how we did it in the panels and previously, but again, and this is residential we're talking, we can charge.
And that answers your question?
Well, I'm just wondering if we do want to charge her for the residential, just do the straight fee. Under the electrical part, drop the $10, which would be in addition to.
Non-residential?
Dan, see how we got it here, Joe?
Yeah.
Well, you got it here, but you've also got it up here. So I'm just saying, possibly strike that as a way to try to promote it.
Yeah. So
I think that's a good idea.
which one do you prefer?
I'd strike out the $10 per panel.
Right, because we want the electrical, because we want the electricians to come in here and get their permits and be inspected, but we don't really care how many panels they put on, right?
I like that.
I'd like to amend the motion to strike solar panels at $10 per panel under the residential 1-2 family and manufactured housing section.
Second,
We have a motion and a second.
John has.
Yeah. John.
One of the things about mounting a solar panel is structural. It has to be affixed properly so that, it doesn't blow off or blow into a neighbor's house or onto a road. Electrically, yes, you should be inspecting things, but that is a structural thing that's on a roof that could cause harm and damage, as well as weight limits, to make sure that it's structurally put up there to protect the roof. And I think that we should look into that more and get some more information or leave it in there.
Can you tell me what kind of inspections are done on individual solar panels? Exactly.
I assume we go, if we get the specs, I'm sure I don't know how much we check for weights, and I'm not gonna speak to that, we have to ask now. It's really not my area of expertise.
So, right, we have a motion to an amendment to the motion. In a second. Is there any further discussion? Hearing none. To the best of my knowledge, we're voting on the amendment and the amendment only at this time. All those in favor of the amendment, please say aye. Aye. Any opposed?
So just maybe, if I can make one suggestion maybe for John, is just because we're not charging $10 a panel, doesn't mean we don't have to have them do a permit and give us the specs. Because again, an electric permit as well, and so we can keep it on file and have them at least, just don't charge them, and then they can be a 0 fee for the.
So they still wouldn't be inspected for.
Well, we're gonna go out, he's gonna go out and look at the electrical again, I don't know what he does inspecting for the panels now, I don't think he gets up on the roof, but, we at least will have the, at least could keep on file the specs from the solar installation company, if that's a concern.
I would assume anyone hiring a contractor is gonna make sure they're insured so that if it does come apart, then they're on the hook for faulty work.
You would think, I could have some sort of warranty myself, that's just me. Okay, so, the amendment passes. Is there any more discussion on the main motion to accept the fee schedule as presented?
And that's with the, also including what Peter had already meant.
The amendment, that now becomes the main motion, part of the main motion. Okay. There is no new discussion. All those in favor of the motion, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed?
Nay.
We have one opposed. The motion passes.
Thank you.
Thank you ever so much.
I only have a couple more things, I'll wrap it up. I just wanted to let the board know we'll be having a housing standards meeting, which I don't believe has been held in at least a year and a half, so that's scheduled for the first week in October. We're also, you know, another
When
thing,
is it gonna be? 'Cause I'm on
October
that.
3rd. You want?
Yeah, I didn't get the numbers.
I will send you one.
October 3rd, when?
October 7th at 9.
October 7th at 9. Tell you what. The Wednesday, housing standards board. I've never had it since I've been here. You cannot make it?
Can I commit it?
Or we can look at changing it. I'll check off my fine. I can send that email out.
I usually get out around 10:30. Well,
Okay. Well, yeah. And then the last thing, because took quite a while, is I just wanted to let the board know that I'm in an effort to get some more community involvement in some of our boards. I'm considering doing some kind of informational display, I guess I'll say, at the presidential election where I'll be looking to get some information out to the residents about what the town's doing, including board vacancies, and see if we can get some interest from, there'll be a lot of people going through there that might not be aware of everything we do for the town. And hopefully can be some good public relations with the town, as well as maybe get some more people involved in some of our boards, because I know my boards are short. We have had more than one non-quorum meeting, and we have to move things along. So hopefully we get some people involved, and just wanted you to know that we're looking to do that if we can get space. I'm talking to Chuck Mitchell about getting the space over the election to do that.
You might get in touch with Jamie and Tim, because they're a great resource for spreading the word and spreading the good news.
Okay.
Okay.
That's all I have. Thank you.
Leanne, thank you very much. Appreciate it. Next thing up on my list is the town administrator's report.
Made it back just in time. Can you hear me? Is this working?
Let's see which one.
We had to make some changes to the microphone earlier. I can report that, Pat didn't say the audio can be improved prior to leaving. Can you test it, please?
Hello.
Yeah.
Okay. So you have my report. So brief this week. You have a copy of the Veterans Tax Credits and Property Tax Exemptions brochure, the draft. I wanted to let you know that Gail put a lot into this. This was something that came up at an earlier meeting that we wanted to be able to provide information to the elderly, disabled and veterans about what kind of tax credits or exemptions are available to them. And so we'd like to get you to approve this and go ahead and get it, start distributing it at town hall. So I don't know if you feel like you want to take a week and look at this, or if you're good with it. I mean, it's pretty much straightforward information.
I like it. Is it going to be scented a little bit better?
Yes, this is the draft.
I'd like to look at it this afternoon. Because I didn't think I'd be making the meeting, but I like it a lot.
Okay.
Make a motion to accept the brochure for the town of Tilton, veterans tax credit and property tax exemptions available.
We have a motion and a second. Is there any discussion? I think this is informative and it's in plain English. Yay. And thank you very much for everybody's input. Especially you, Gail. Yeah.
Yep, thank you, Bill.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Is there any further discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? The motion is unanimous. Okay, next.
Thank you. The other item on the action list is the LCHIP Town Hall Assessment Grant. You recall that I wrote a grant to have Town Hall looked at in terms of the height of the building and the structure and everything else. The initial proposal came in at about $38,000. I went back and was able to get that reduced to $19,750 for the same assessment. And we have received, actually months ago, we received our first check from the LCHIP, $9,675 that we've been holding on to. And you recall, because we went into COVID, that our finance director came to the board and recommended some things that should be put aside, held aside until we figured out where we were financially. I had talked to Tim about this. I think, Tim can speak for himself, but in talking with him, it seems like you feel comfortable that we could go ahead and get this project done. So that's what I'm here tonight to ask you if we can move forward on that.
I'll make a motion to move forward with the LCHIP grant for the assessment of town hall. Is there a second?
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Is there any discussion or questions for the town administrator or the finance director? Okay. Hearing no discussion, all those in favor of the motion, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? The motion is unanimous.
Thank you.
Thank you.
One item I did want to ask you about, having conversations with some of the employees at town hall. I've heard this rumor, don't know who it is or not, but that there are concerns about mold and possibly lead in the building. And so would I like the board to give me authorization to go out and get 3 quotes to look at what somebody would charge to do an environmental assessment to see in fact if we have mold or lead in the building that's could be unsafe for our employees. It is not part of the other assessments that you just approved.
How much is that?
That's why I want to get 3 quotes. I have no idea. So I figured I'd get the quotes, bring it back, you know, and see what we think.
But keep on food safe, so yeah.
Yeah, I'm really allergic to molds and stuff like that myself, so.
Okay, so I won't do anything until I get the quotes and bring them back to you. So there really isn't anything else. Next week, we're going to have a joint meeting with the Sewer Commission, I believe, hear a presentation from the Woonsocket River Basin Program about restructuring the administration of that program. I gave you all a copy of that in your file, so you can take a look at that. I don't know if anyone has any questions on that.
I have a question.
Sure.
This newly formed department of the Woonsocket River Basin would have the ability to assess fees and levy taxes.
No, I've attended a couple of the meetings with the sewer administrator, and I think the intent is to be able to give the communities more authority or power when it comes to the state expending funds at the Woonsocket River Basin. Because right now, I think it's pretty much, it's run by the state, and they just tell you what they're going to spend, and the town's exponent. If I remember when I was a state senator early on, I got called, and I actually visited the site and heard from some of the communities about their concerns. I don't know if this is the right structure, but they're trying to make an effort. I do know from talking to Johanna that she let me know that Franklin and Northfield have said no to this new structure. I know from being over in Meredith that Meredith and Guilford and Belmont have said yes. I think probably Laconia has said yes. So they're trying to get all 10 communities to weigh in on this.
Do you need us to weigh in right this second, or can we look?
No, so they're gonna come, the Woonsocket River Basin folks, and I shouldn't say.
The advisory folks.
Yes, Ray Corber, one of those guys are gonna come, and the sewer commissioners will be here as well.
Possibly, one will,
Okay.
for sure.
Yes. Because, you know, as I explained when Johanna and I had the last meeting with them, that certainly the board would like to be informed about this, but ultimately it's the sewer commission who, you know, they're a separate authority, and they have to decide whether they want to do this or if they agree with this or not. Certainly, my board would want to know what's going on. And so that was the intent of the, just informational, educational, and let you know what's happening. So I tell you that because I don't think there's an expectation at this meeting next week for you all to take a vote and say yes or no.
Okay.
It's just informational.
Okay.
They're trying to rally troops.
Correct.
Explain why it's a good idea.
Not on my report, but I wanted to mention to you, I met with Officer Gilman to discuss next steps. Remember, he was working on 2 projects for the town. One was parking in downtown Main Street, problems on Main Street, and the other was the tree streets. After we had a little bit of a discussion, we thought that perhaps, and all this got delayed because of COVID, we were kind of heading down a path and everything kind of stopped. So we thought that probably what we should do is get together, and myself and Officer Gilman and anyone else who might be interested, put together a plan of the pros and the cons, identify the issues, provide option solutions, that sort of thing. Bring that to the board for a presentation so you understand on both these issues what's going on. Not that you don't, but we'll have more information. And then in the spring, do a public meeting for the tree streets, because I think one of the last conversations we had at this board, it's been my observation that you'd like to include the residents to get their feedback, that we do a public meeting with the residents of the tree streets. And then the parking issue on Main Street, we would pursue our meeting with the businesses, which we had to cancel because of COVID. So the plan is to take this up in the spring, but before we actually launch it, come back to the board and have a discussion, so you guys are all on the same page.
Peter?
I think we have a third parking issue that needs to be discussed rather imminent. And that would be enforcement of the no on-street parking during the winter months.
I thought we had that pretty much set up, they park and there's signs and we go.
I think we have one.
Oh, okay, all right, no, you're absolutely right.
I know, yeah.
You're absolutely right. And
Right,
we will
winter's
be-
coming.
We will be discussing it because winter is coming.
You're right.
Thank you.
I forgot all about it. So that's been a non-public conversation, so we should continue with that for now.
Okay, and then just one other item I wanted to bring up, because I think I brought up a while ago, and I think it kind of just, because of COVID, now I know because of COVID, but perambulation.
Well, that's Joe's baby. Perambulation.
So good, perambulation. You and me, Peter, you volunteered for this.
No, but you picked the wrong month.
I was thinking,
October is my mental health month.
well,
I fill the air with lead. That's how I relieve my stress with my dog.
when you're done.
I'm sure the rest of us got love that.
We could pick a day that's not hunting season related.
Later in the month is better.
That's fine by me, and the colder it gets, the more things like the fogs and stuff start to, you got water in the and no more mosquitoes.
No water.
Well, then, I don't know that for sure, and I was there. John,
I did volunteer as well.
outstanding, we'll make a party out
Three Musketeers.
of it. Okay.
So I will bring it back up and we'll pick a date and we'll do towards the end of October.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. We'll need the little thing with the wheel on it. And we'll let it
Is
along.
that the type of?
It'll become
Yeah,
obvious.
we'll
like,
put your wheel on it.
I know the wheel real well. The whites.
No, just this one section of town. There is a section of town, but I digress, where somebody plowed Pest House Road to widen it just willy-nilly. And they plowed the road just fine, but the marker that was associated with the town boundary is gone. And it happens to lie 937 feet in a certain direction, and there happens to be a road there, and you just wheel your way up there, and maybe we can find this rock in a pile of stones, but I don't know, if that was our guys, they did it wrong, and if it was anybody else, they really did it wrong. That was years ago.
So we need a way to mark posts.
I'll have spray paint, if you have a chisel that'll cut into rock, we can put on the gear. And a lot of people have, sometimes they spray paint the post, and a lot of them are carved right in, but I don't have a chisel that'll cut stone. And I don't know where to get one right off here, any suggestion,
Billy Lawrence.
you're absolutely right. I've been going in there for mason jars, so I'll mention that the next time I see him. He actually did the perambulation the last time with Donald Plant and a bunch of other guys too, so. Okay,
That's it for me unless anyone has any questions.
I don't see any questions from you or the
Do you
throng.
want to talk about the Halloween thing to keep this being set out, or do you want to keep it as is?
Well, the chief did mention the Halloween thing, did you know?
No, I never heard.
Oh,
He
okay.
said,
The chief was talking about the Halloween thing downtown, and they were working on definitive plans, and they're gonna have procedures in place, and didn't have a list of those yet, but I'm guessing he will have one in advance of the actual event. Don't know anything about the zombie walk or any of those things that we did, but it'll take place in some form.
I'm just
She's referring to the
referring to the
CDC rules,
CDC
which
recommendations. I'm
I'm a
referring,
big vote on CDC.
but I'm also referring to the governor's, also said something today about,
I wasn't aware of that.
Well,
about the CDC's recommendations on Halloween.
we will be, I don't care what the CDC is for.
That's what I'm asking, are we gonna go ahead?
We're doing trick or treat.
A lot of towns, because of the CDC recommendations, canceling Halloween, and I'm saying, heck no.
Right now, our thing is to move forward. Are you proposing that we change it? Then let's move right along.
And that's fine, just be aware that you may get,
So far, and I was approached by a business owner downtown, are you still doing trunk or treat? It's
no,
like,
no. Yeah, no, what I'm saying is that because other towns are not having it, they're gonna come to Tilton. So just,
I'm just gonna throw an idea out there. You limit it to kids of the 3 towns.
I don't know. How you
And-
do it.
You're not gonna be able to control that.
ID.
Let me finish.
Okay.
So I didn't think, I thought this through. You do wristbands, and these kids have to show a wristband, and we have sawhorses up or whatever, and it's only for kids, what, again, it comes to taxpayers. And if we're gonna overrun the downtown with kids from all over the area,
Chief, is that easily done or enforceable? What kind of manpower does that take?
Yeah, I think it's not just the manpower too, it means they have to get up close and personal with all these people to put the wristbands on.
all right.
So I'm not sure it's the safest, but yeah. I'd have to look
Oh,
into
wait,
it.
well, please have your recommendations on how this is gonna work so that we can look at those next week. Because we can still change our mind if it turns out to be not a possible thing.
And we need to get prizes too for the parade, if that's gonna happen. And we need to get judges, any thoughts on judges?
Well, I'm a multi-time judge myself, and we certainly volunteer. I would suggest any and all selectmen interested come down and be part of the judging itself. Some of those costumes are very inventive. And, if you are uncomfortable being in a crowd at this point, I don't greatly blame you. I'm still thinking it over myself. So, there you go.
Get a couple, because I think we're gonna have an influx of people. I'll ask a couple other people to be judges, and because we'll have a couple of people being business judges and a couple of people doing the.
I'm gonna circle back to something that Jeannie brought up earlier if I can.
You can.
All right, just because I'm thinking ahead. You just talked about this building and having some type of test. We also have a town building that's gonna become vacant. In the event that we find that this building is not healthy, what do we do?
Fix it.
But if that means relocating the offices here or whatever, how do we do that?
Portable trailers and highway.
Well, I'm just thinking, we have a building, do we maybe delay that
No.
building?
my opinion, I mean, I'm not a selectman.
I'm just thinking it through.
No, I understand, but we've got the RFP process in place for the sale of the building. That's gonna take a while, so.
Thinking it through, that's what.
I've only heard rumors about mold and mud, and I don't know if they're true or not. I've heard that it's not true, and I've heard that it is true. And it just, I know, right, and it just seems to me that, this building is 140 years old. It's time to take a look at it, and, it may be that these quotes come back ridiculously high, and we just say, no, we can't afford that. So. Yeah.
Okay. Any other questions for the town administrator? None, I'll find my glasses. And the time being 6:23 PM. I'd like a motion to move into non-public section for RSA 91-A, semicolon 3, paragraph 2A. Dismissal, promotion, or compensation of any public employee, or the disciplining of such employee, or the investigation in any charges against them. RSA 91-A, semicolon 3, paragraph 2C. Matters which, if discussed in public, would likely affect adversely the reputation of any person other than a member of this board unless such person requests an open meeting. This exception shall extend to include any application for assistance or tax abatement or waiver of a fee, fine, or other levy if based on inability to pay or poverty of the applicant. In RSA 91-A, semicolon 3, paragraph 2E, consideration and negotiation of pending claims or litigation, which has been threatened in writing or filed by or against this board or any subdivision thereof, or by or against any member thereof because of his or her membership therein, until the claim or litigation has been fully adjudicated or otherwise settled. We expect to be back into public session at approximately 7:30. Optimistic, don't you think? Do I have a second?
Constantino,
We
second.
have a motion and a second. Is there any discussion? All those in favor,
Constantino, yes.
signify by saying aye, roll call vote.
Yes.
Gentlemen, yes.
Fire, yes.
Scanlon, yes.
We stand in adjournment.
This conference will now be recorded.
Outstanding. The time being 8:20, I told you 7:15 was optimistic. I'd like to make a motion to seal the minutes of the non-public session as the need still remains. Is there any discussion? Come on. Hearing none, all those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? The motion is unanimous. The next thing on the agenda, welcome back to all of you who are riveted to this. The next thing on the agenda is to go back and give Selectmen Scanlon and Selectmen Fire an opportunity to give Selectmen's reports. Selectmen Fire.
I'm gonna defer to next week.
Very well, I think that's great. And John?
The only thing is, I think that the fire department and the police department and everybody else involved did a great job with the burns. The weather was perfect for it, and there was no problems with traffic. Everything was good. Provided some great training. They did that for using town.
All right, is there anything else to come before us this evening? Hearing nothing, motion to adjourn.
Second.
A motion in the second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.